We're here to bring a new type of new show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you, and we're coming to you today from Seoul. I'm 이어지는, and this is News Generation. Joining us today is Brooke Prince.
Glad to be here.
Good to have you, and also Park Kyun is with us.
Thanks for having me again.
And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So today we want to spotlight the Korea-US Summit, a highly anticipated event that's finally taken place after months of planning and diplomacy. So this meeting marks not just another round of official talks, but a celebration of more than 70 years of a strong alliance and cooperation between the two countries. From security and trade to cultural exchange, the Korea-US relationship continues to evolve, and younger generations in both nations are now playing a bigger role than ever before in shaping that dynamic. So today, we're not just talking about politics, we're diving into the people-to-people connections, the growing influence of Korean culture abroad, and why young Americans in particular are more interested than ever in Korea. So, Brooke, we're seeing a new wave of interest among young Americans, especially Gen Zs and millennials, in all things Korea, from food and music to beauty and language. So why do you think that is?
Well, there's just so much to choose from, right? Like you mentioned, there's food and music, Kbeauty, and it just keeps growing. We've got so many categories to choose from. It's like a buffet of content. But I think there's something that is very popular, that is really reigniting the interest in the Korean wave that we must talk about. And it is K-pop Demon Hunters, right? This has been such a viral movie, and I would say my niece is probably the biggest fan out there. She has already demanded merchandise for her birthday present this year, and if you take a look at the screen, you will see her singing her heart out. This is the high note, of course. She does the signature K-pop idol pose with the high note. She's really belting it out, and I think K-pop Demon Hunters became so popular because it feels global and accessible, even though it includes so many traditional cultural elements. For example, there are Korean hats called gat. There's also kimbap, one of my favorite Korean foods. It also includes Korean clothing like hanbok, and even Korean-style clinics, which that scene was so funny to me because it was so accurate. It really was a lot of fun to see and recognize things that I've grown accustomed to while living here for almost 10 years. And, you know, my niece now wants to come to Korea so badly after seeing that movie. Like I said, she's demanding merchandise for her birthday. So I think we're going to see a lot of young people that get interested in Korea from that movie.
You know, I think we might have seen the next K-pop star in your niece.
Oh, she'll be so happy to hear that.
And I think this is why you can never underestimate the power of the influence of soft power.
That's
because
right.
Your niece is in Chicago, I think you said.
Yeah, that's right.
And she's being exposed to different parts of Korean culture
loves
already. So Western media outlets have also been covering this trend. So have you noticed more stories highlighting Korea's global appeal recently to you, and what kind of coverage stood out to you?
Right, so US media outlets have been highlighting the recent craze of K-pop Demon Hunters, with the group Huntrix being praised for its popularity, dominating the charts, going beyond even BTS and even Blackpink. And the song Golden even topped the global Billboard global charts, that is. And the New York Times noted that although it was produced in the US, it perfectly captures Korean aesthetics and tradition. And subsequently, the rising popularity of IP, or intellectual property, has spread to the merchandise industry, otherwise known as goods. So goods that represent characters from the movie has been sold out in the National Museum of Korea, as you can see on the screen, highlighting foreigners' growing interest in Korean culture that goes just beyond Korean content.
So one surprising example that's been making headlines for quite some time now, we've talked about, you know, K-pop Demon Hunters, and there's something else too, which is kimbap. So how did kimbap become so popular in the US, Kyun?
Right, so in fact, kimbap went viral back in 2023 through social media, and it gained more popularity through word of mouth as well. And frozen kimbap in the States became a huge hit. Its reappearance, of course, from the K-pop Demon Hunters has reignited interest again. And kimbap not only tastes good, and it's not just filling, but you can actually choose what goes inside kimbap. You can choose the toppings as well.
So what's your favorite?
Tonkas.
Me too.
Oh, that's a classic. I mean, that was
The
a
pork
classic.
cutlet.
Oh, it's so good.
But there's many more. There's even cheuk, which
Yep.
is very Korean. But you can also keep it very healthy by just keeping it like vegetarian,
Vegetables,
just keeping it vegetarian. Or you can add all sorts of meat, like just
Chamchi,
like
tuna.
Chamchi as well. Ham's a classic. So I think it can just meet your taste, whatever you want, however you want it. And it is considered one of the representative foods of Korean foods, not to mention the popularity of course, kimchi that I'm going to talk about later on. K-snacks as well.
That's
trending
big, yeah.
a lot all over the world. And even K-ice cream.
That's something I haven't heard of
So
actually.
yeah, I only recently found out, but even in Russia, like Korean ice creams are selling very well. In India as well, they've localized this one type of chocolate bar into like an Indian style, and even the ads they were shooting in India, they were like Indian people, obviously Indian actors. They were actually acting like Korean idols, and they were singing the like Korean songs like "Mashiso" and things like that. So it's going popular, and even in the US, a lot of Korean ice creams, along with Korean snacks, is very popular right now.
So you mentioned kimbap and how about frozen kimbap specifically. I remember back in college, I remember like I'm lining up because they were trying to recruit members for this college organization, and they were handing out kimbap. So as you can
I
guess,
would join immediately.
it was a Korean student like organization, and now I can. For me, the reason why I lined up was so hard to find kimbap at the time. But now that frozen kimbap's a thing now, I
Like
guess.
craving it.
Right, so I don't have to stand in line anymore, I guess. So, Brooke, you're from the U.S. obviously. Is kimbap actually popular back at home? And do you think it's easier to find nowadays?
Yeah, I definitely think so. My little brother, he lives in San Diego, and California has quite a large Korean population. So I noticed when I visit there are plenty of Korean restaurants to choose from, along with popular Korean American grocery chains like H Mart, where you can get your kimbap fix. And the frozen kimbap sold there and at other retailers has become a viral sensation like we've been talking about. Many Americans are enjoying these new foods. And again, I think social media has played a significant role in popularizing kimbap and these other Korean snacks because users are sharing their experiences and their reviews. And the consensus that they've come to is that kimbap, it's fun, it's easy to eat, it's packed with flavor, and of course, K-pop Demon Hunters, there's a funny scene of one of the characters just devouring some kimbap, and sometimes that just feels so good to just have a roll of kimbap. It's delicious, and I think the interest in kimbap and other Korean foods is really growing these days.
But it's not just kimbap. So Korean food overall seems to be having a moment in the States. So how big is this K-food boom, and what dishes are getting the most attention, Kyun?
Well, let's take a look at the screen. Let's take a look at the screen first to find out more details. According to the 2024 Global Hallyu Trend Analysis Report that was released this year by the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism, unlike other countries where K-pop dominated media coverage, over 90% of US coverage focused on K-food, as you can see from the screen.
That doesn't surprise me.
Exactly. Followed by K-pop and K-movies. And in particular, there was a high volume of reporting on kimchi-related events, as November 22nd was officially proclaimed Kimchi Day back in 2022, celebrated in states like Maryland, California, New York, and Washington, D.C. So we can just see how popular Korean food has become, even in the States. As we can see from
having days dedicated to it.
Kimchi Day, which is a surprise. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Right. I also think it's important to have these days because it kind of raises more awareness about what's Korean food as well. So Brooke, when you went back to the States to visit, did you really feel how popular Korean food had become? And did you personally notice this growing interest in Korean food, like more restaurants or maybe friends asking you for recommendations?
Definitely. People are very curious about Korean cuisine, and I'm not surprised that Americans are thinking the most about Korean food over K-pop because we are foodies in America. And we also love this viral content about food with influencers trying out Korean products. I've told this story on Arirang before. One of my sisters even asked me to bring her Korean food because she fell down this rabbit hole on the internet of Korean food videos. So the last time I visited, I packed a bunch of 편의점 or convenience store snacks in my bag. And she was recently pregnant and she really loved the choco pies. She was really craving Korean food. So a lot of people enjoy it. And another food I'd like to highlight, we've talked about kimbap. People love the famous Korean corn dogs because they are different from the corn dogs that I grew up with, which is just kind of hot dog, boring breading. No, Korea does it big. You can sprinkle sugar on it. My favorite is the potato kind with the potato breading. There's also goguma, which is sweet potato. It's just so many delicious, unique combinations and textures, and not to mention that classic cheese pool, because there's mozzarella in these corn dogs, and that cheese pool has become highly popular on social media, these viral clips. But it's not just about trends and online videos. Korean food itself is flavorful, it's healthy, and there's a cultural element of sharing the food. And I think Americans could really use that. In America, when you order something, you don't share it. So I think going to a Korean restaurant for an American is a really unique and special experience. So you get to have all of this variety, and it appeals to people that want something that's both tasty and nourishing at the same time.
You know, when you talk about corn dogs, I realize I think another strength of K-food, I guess, is that like Koreans are good at taking like something that doesn't seem that special and adding it, like letting people kind of customize as well.
Yes,
which is why
agree.
Right. So, but of course, food is just one part of the Korean wave. So beyond the cuisine, Korean culture is thriving across multiple industries. So what are some of the most popular Korean exports in the U.S. these days, Brooke?
Well, I want to also highlight Kbeauty. It's huge. My sister, she's been on the show before. She's a beauty influencer. And ever since I brought back a 10-step Korean skincare routine, she swears by Korean products. I am like the Korean product ambassador. I always bring stuff back to my family and they love it. Other influencers also feel the same. I think Korean skincare and makeup have built a really loyal following in the States thanks to tons of videos that show their effectiveness. If you take a look at the screen, I'll walk you through the numbers that show just how popular Korean cosmetics are in the US. So last year, Korean cosmetics actually took the #1 spot in the US in terms of market share with 20%, surpassing French brands at 19%, Canada at 14%, and Italy with 12%. And I think it's really quite impressive that a country the size of Korea can have such a phenomenal impact globally in so many different categories. But when it comes to Kbeauty, it's special because people love the ingredients, the packaging is beautiful, the textures, and the prices are often more affordable than Western luxury brands without skimping on quality. I also think Kbeauty focuses on improving the skin itself, which is what makes it so good. And these days, with news of the tariffs, people are definitely trying to stock up on these very reasonably priced, incredible products because the prices might be going up soon. So they have cleared out entire displays in America. There have been a lot of headlines of people, stocking up so they can buy in bulk and have these products for a long time before the prices go up. It's definitely not just a niche market anymore. It is fully mainstream.
There's so much to talk about just with food and with, like you said, with beauty. But has it such an interest in other aspects of Korean culture, Kyun?
Of course, but I'd just like to add on what Brooke just talked about Kbeauty. I think an olive that's really young that played a very, very important role in expanding the market share in the US. Okay, so
yes.
We cannot leave out K-dramas and K-movies, of course. The starting point of the Korean wave really started alongside K-pop was, of course, K-content, such as Squid Game and the movie Parasite. Parasite seems like it was released years and years ago, but when we mentioned Parasite, we're like, oh yeah, that movie. It was such a sensation. And Korean dramas and films continue to have a strong influence on OTT platforms up until today. And the popularity of K-content has also sparked a boom in learning the Korean language. In fact, in US universities, the number of students taking the Korean language course has surged by 57%.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
I'm actually not that surprised by this because I was surprised when I first moved to the States that I saw they offered a Korean language class. So for someone who's coming from Korea, it was so interesting to see a class dedicated to learning Korean language. So this growing interest isn't just about entertainment, shaping how people engage with Korea on a deeper level. As more viewers fall in love with K-content, they're also becoming curious about the language, the culture, and the stories behind it all. So to learn more about how Korean culture is resonating with younger audiences in the US, we're going to hear directly from someone who's part of that generation. And that conversation will take place right after the break, so don't go anywhere.
News Gen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
We're joined today by Jazia Jean, who's a fan of Korean culture, currently living in the US. So hi, Jazia. Thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So in your opinion, what part of Korean culture seems to be the most popular among Gen Z and millennials in the US these days?
Yeah, so as you might expect, I think K-pop is definitely still the most popular piece of Korean culture among young Americans. I still hear K-pop being played on the American radio all the time, and when I go to restaurants or just go shopping, I hear it in public a lot. And as mentioned before, with the popularity of the movie K-pop Demon Hunters, like it can be easily seen how popular K-pop is because it became Netflix's most watched original animated film, and it's been breaking records. So definitely it goes to show the popularity of it still. But I think there's definitely other runner-up options, especially, as mentioned, Korean food. I live in Rhode Island, and I've been going back and forth between Rhode Island and Korea for the past 3 years. And when I first left America, there was like nothing Korean in Rhode Island. But every single time I've come back just to visit since then, there's always at least 1 or 2 new Korean restaurants in the area. So it's been great for me because it's easy to find the food that I miss whenever I leave Korea.
Yeah, that makes me curious if I go back to my very small hometown in Maryland, if there would be any Korean restaurants now. But my question for you is there a part of Korean culture that you personally really like, and what first drew you to it?
Yeah, so for me, I mainly really like the language. Hangul is a really easy alphabet to learn, and it was designed to be that way. So the concept of a writing system that was literally designed to be accessible was super fascinating to me, and it's what got me into Korean culture in the first place. So I think Hangul and the Korean language would be really interesting to anyone who's interested in linguistics or has an enthusiasm about that who lives in the US, because it seems so different than English, so it seems therefore difficult to learn. But then it surprises you by being really approachable and by Hangul seeming so natural to learn for a lot of people who are studying. So I think the easy success of learning Hangul from the beginning is a great motivator for people who are wanting to learn more about the language, and then it leads into wanting to learn more about its origins and the rest of the culture. And then for me, I also just really like Korean film and video media as an aspiring filmmaker myself. So I like Korean movies and dramas because they're able to cinematically express a lot of topics in depth while still keeping all their publicly available content mostly family friendly, without ever feeling filtered or watered down. And I think the variety shows from Korea are really cool because the themes are really outlandish sometimes, and the editing style is so in your face that it makes me really want to explore my own editing techniques and try to do more expressive editing and be creative in what I make.
Jazia, finally, why do you think the Korean culture, or Hallyu, is so popular in the US right now?
Yeah, I partially think it's popular because people perceive it as being very foreign and unique. Korean content is usually created with local and global audiences in mind, which has helped it achieve a good balance between being new and exciting, but also easy to connect with for both American audiences and even other countries. And Korea just has a lot of different specialties, like from music, film, skincare, beauty, technology, transportation, architecture, history, language, and the list just keeps going on and on and on. So oftentimes, a lot of people who are into different niches like and support Korean content without ever realizing it's Korean. And then later, when they do find out it's Korean and they see the role that Korea plays in the products they like, it becomes a gateway into more Korean creations, even for individuals who aren't used to interacting with international content.
I also really appreciate how you highlighted your appreciation for Hangul and the editing skills, because I don't think I hear that very often. So that was really interesting to hear. And also thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we just heard from a young person from the US who shared her perspective on how Korean culture has influenced her personally, from the content she consumes to the way she connects with others. So it's clear this wave of interest isn't just a passing trend, but something that deeply resonates with younger generations. So that brings us to a bigger question. What is it about Korean storytelling and culture that speaks so strongly to American Gen Zs and millennials? What makes it so relatable, engaging, even comforting to them? Brooke?
Yeah, I loved what she said about Hangul because I felt the same way. And once I started studying Korean, then I started learning more about the culture, and you just kind of fall into it. I also think young people these days are really embracing being unapologetically themselves. That's kind of like the Gen Z motto. And a big part of Korean culture is about enjoying what you enjoy, free of judgment. In America and other countries, if you're passionate about certain hobbies, it can earn you ridicule. If you like K-pop, someone might make fun of you. But in Korea, people will love you. You will be welcomed with open arms. I see fans of K-pop gather in the streets to do random dance challenges. Every time I go to PC Bongs, I see people getting ready to buy their tickets for K-pop concerts. There are all these cafes and pop-up stores that celebrate fans' favorite K-celebrities. And all of these aspects of the Korean wave that we talked about today are going viral online. So with the digital native generation, if you connect the dots, you can see why it's become so popular.
You know when you're pointing out how people kind of celebrate Korean culture these days, I realize it's just like a very happy vibe. It gives you a sense of community as well. So what are your thoughts on this, Kyun?
I think it's the past that's come all the way to the present. From being one of the poorest countries in the world to becoming a donor within a couple of decades, just shows how deeply rooted the hardship and the suffering the older Korean generation actually went through. And this paved the way, and we made a huge leap as a country, and this paved the way for the younger generations to be able to, I guess, express their emotions a little more, and even their talents through media these days. So, and that's what the world has seen. Oh, like if the Koreans have so much talent.
Right.
And, they have so much to show and prove to the whole world. So I think, and also Koreans are able to come up with the most out of the least through their 빨리빨리 culture, quick culture. So I think it's this kind of embedded, hardworking attitude that everyone can resonate with today.
So looking ahead, it's clear that Korea's global influence isn't slowing down anytime soon. From entertainment and fashion to beauty and tech, Korean trends are already making a strong mark around the world. So as we move into probably the next chapter of the Korean wave, which K industries or trends do you think are poised to take off next on the global stage, Brooke?
Well, I think we're going to see cosmetics continue to be very popular. A lot of people come to Korea to get their personal color analysis, to get their hair and makeup done, just like K-pop idols. But on a more personal level, you guys are going to guess this. I hope that PC Bongs make it
That's a good one.
I hope people can enjoy Korean food while at a PC Bong. It's one of the best experiences that you can have in Korea. So that's what I hope. Those are my predictions for the future.
I'm actually surprised PC Bongs haven't taken off already, considering computer games are also big in the States.
That's
and
right.
there's Twitch streamers are also, they always go viral too.
I'm waiting.
So beyond the immediate impact, what kind of ripple effects do you think the growing interest in Korea and its culture could have, Kyun?
I think the Korean language can play a big role, have that huge ripple effect because it's being more accepted and recognized globally. And I think through, like Korean itself is a very scientific language, and seeing more foreigners in Korea actually try to speak more Korean rather than their native language in Korea, it's great to see because I've seen many, like Brooke, she's a great example.
And she's an interpreter too.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of foreigners just use English to Koreans in Korea, and it didn't really make sense to me, but nowadays I'm seeing more people actually try to use Korean in Korea, which is a great progress that we're seeing.
You have to try.
도전, keep trying.
So today's conversation reminds us that the Korea-US alliance goes far beyond politics and diplomacy. It's also a cultural partnership, one that has grown stronger over the past 70 years through shared values, creativity, and people-to-people connections. From kimbap to K-pop, the world just can't seem to get enough of Korea. And this wave also shows no signs of slowing down. So as Korea's creative industries continue to grow, it'll be exciting to see what comes next and how young people around the world continue to shape and share this cultural connection. And this brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation. But News Gen will be back at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. Big thanks to Brooke.
What a fun topic. It was great.
Thanks for coming in. And Kyun.
Always a pleasure.
And to all our viewers, thank you so much for watching. And we are
News Generation.